Let me tell you a personal story. I left Russia about 6 months ago on 27th of September 2022. Many of you actually were following me and still following and followed back then. Most of you know my story. Most of you were with me when I was leaving Russia, praying, sending me good wishes, worrying about me. Thank you so much. I've been outside of Russia for quite some time, and I have not once regret my decision. I feel this was a great decision, and I stayed in Russia until the very last moment I could. If you follow my streams again, you remember that from September 21st and on for a week, I finished every single stream with saying goodbye to you because I really feared that that was my last time streaming and someone could knock on my door and just take me away. Very, very, very crazy time. I, I am glad that I left. And I still keep in touch with most people I know. I still keep in touch with ex-colleagues, obviously family, close and distant family, friends, people I know, my college classmates, my school classmates, and tons of people. I know like a couple hundred people in my circle. And some conversations are actually very strange lately. I was talking to one person, not my family, but person that I know, and I was telling him I don't lie to anyone. I openly say that I left to Russia for Uzbekistan, and he was sounded kind of disappointed. He heard it for the first time, and he said, "How could you do that?" So, what do you mean? Well, how could you do that? You can't do that. You can't leave. This very dangerous time for our country, our motherland. You can't leave. I said who? Well, so what do you mean, said who? Well, the motherland needs you. What if tomorrow, did you hear what happened in Bryansk yesterday? I said, what happened? He gave me a story that kind of differed from what I think really happened. But he said, something like that happens tomorrow, and we're all gonna get mobilized, and the motherland will need you to do the service. And the guy was serious. And I thought, oh my god, facepalm. And actually, in this stream, I would like to tell you the story why in Russia you belong to the motherland and how it differs from the rest of the world. Howdy, everyone. My name is Konstantin. Welcome to Inside Russia, where I give you news updates on things I find important and I think that truly explain what's happening in Russia now. What you will not find in this channel is propaganda, BS, and lies. What you will find on this channel is common sense, logic, and truth, and emotions, because I am a human being. Common sense, logic, and truth. Is okay. Inside Russia is where usual Russia explained by the unusual Russian. First 30 minutes or so, I usually give my daily message, and then you can continue by joining the live stream chat, conversing with me and the community, commenting, asking questions, and I'll try to answer all of them as much as I can. And, sending me good wishes, that counts too. I would like that very much. Let me tell you how things are organized in Russia in terms of how things are in Russia in general, considering like you as a person, us as people. Every time I start streaming, my nose starts itching lately. I don't know what's up. Please. You know, actually, I'm a very lucky man because I was born and raised in Russia to a great family, very loving family. My parents, fantastic people. My dad passed away not too long ago, and my mom is still alive and well. Um, they gave me lots of love. They gave me care. They gave me values that I grew up with. And at the age of 20, I left for the USA. And basically, that was the moment when I ceased to be dependent on someone and started creating my own life, kind of started my own journey. And I was very lucky that I somehow, by a miracle, got to the United States because this is a very unique country, very different from what I had been used to, where I had grown up. Um, very, very different. At first sight, I fell in love with the USA. There were quite a few things I loved. I absolutely loved. Among those things was this feeling that's really hard to explain. The feeling is that you are the center of your own universe. Your life depends on you. You can make your life anything you want. You can, this is a very, very strange and very hard to explain feeling. The only way you would understand me if you lived in the USA and in Russia and you had something to something to compare, both countries, both ways of living to compare. Otherwise, it's hard for you to understand, but trust me, very unique, very valuable. I loved it. I loved the fact that I was the master of my own destiny. I loved the fact that I woke up every morning and I decided what I was going to do with my life that day. I had a feeling I could achieve anything I wanted to. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. The at first, especially, there was very strange feeling that my life belonged to me unconditionally. And that feeling lasted for first, I don't know, year and a half, couple years, and then it disappeared because I took American way of life, American values, American rules, I dissolved in them, or at least I started dissolving on the year two. For me, it took 4 years. On the year six, I felt completely assimilated into American society. I had American friends. I was accepted by a local community. I was managing about a team of 70 people at age of 25, 26. Uh, I had lots of respect. So I felt like I was one of them. I was one of them in America, one of the locals. And so, but at first, I still remember the feeling. It was very unusual, very new. Now, how why was it different from Russia and how we felt and we still feel in Russia? Gosh, this is a trap. Right now, all bad things that we had in the past in Russia that I thought that we got over such a long time ago, they're coming back. They're back. They're back with a big bang. Anyway, in Russia, when you grow up, there is a sense that your life does not belong to you 100%. It starts at a young age, at age of 18 years old, because you're drafted to the army. Whether you like it or not, and most men don't want to go to the army. A lot of people dodge. It's not up to you. Why? Well, no one questions this in Russia. No one questions because to us is growing up from an early age we understand that once we turn 18 we have to go and this is our duty. as Russian citizens, Russians, males, we have to go and protect our motherland. Well, we're not at war. We haven't been, well, we were not at war for, I don't know, 70 years with anyone, 80 years. But still, it's a duty. Uh, I never questioned until I got to the United States. And this, you see, when your eyes open, when your horizon broadens, you start asking questions. I think the biggest driving force of change is asking questions. First, you start asking questions yourself, start asking yourself questions, and then you start asking questions other people, you know? And then I started questioning. I remember at first I thought, look, they don't have draft in the United States, the conscription. Why do we have it in Russia? And you know what? To my amazement, I could not find the answer. My motherland did not need me to go and spend 2 years of my life, one of the best years from 18 to 20, being a soldier, listening to stupid orders from Russian military commanders, personnel, that are very notorious for not being very smart, you know. So it kind of sounded like 2 years of wasting your life. Why did I have to do that? Why didn't I have a choice? I'm a citizen. I'm a taxpayer, right? At least they should ask me, do you want to go or you don't? No. And if my motherland really needed me, if we were under threat of someone like attacking us, then no problem. I'd go and serve. But the thing is, we didn't have any threats. NATO was our friend for until last year. We all of a sudden learned that NATO is about to kill us, you know. But before that, we wanted to join NATO. There was a NATO plus Russia format. We're always with meetings, in meetings with NATO and things like that. So don't try to feed me BS about NATO being our enemy, okay? Just for the last year, it's our enemy. So, we didn't have any threats, but still, I needed to go and serve. What the fudge? That's the first question. And then in Russia, that you start your life with that. And you lose the sense that your life belongs to you. Because it belongs to your motherland. And it starts with the army, okay? And I think that's indoctrination. That's part of the propaganda. And then I started thinking more. I said, look, how come the United States is one way and Russia is completely different way? And these are my thoughts. This is what I have come up with. I could be wrong. Please let me know in the comments if you agree with me or not. You know, what do you think? But this is what I sincerely, honestly think. Russia and the United States have completely different ideas, philosophies for people. In America, independent people from all over the world, they came to America looking for opportunities, looking for land, looking for freedom to congregate, looking for freedom to use to pray to God any way people wanted to. They're looking for freedom to do business, to have own land, because in Europe there were kings and queens, and people didn't have many rights, so they were fleeing. They were moving to America, to the land of the free, and the land of the free is the core concept of the country. Freedom, the land of the free. We are the people. You know, it's all around people. The country is people. And everything that happens in the country must benefit people. The federal government, not very strong, because the federal government is basically the king. The federal government, some people sit in Washington and decide for all people of America how to live. That's why America is not one country, but it's a union, a federation of 50 states. And I was really surprised to learn that there are different laws in America in every state. And every state has a right to make own laws. In Russia, people were laughing at that. I remember in the 90s, like, how is this possible? You go to one state, one laws, another state, another laws. But this is the quintessence of freedom. People are free to decide what they want to make laws in their own land, in their own state. I haven't seen anything better than that. Okay, and in America, you everything is around you. You are the king of your own life. You're the king. You're the center of the universe. If you make a decision to leave your country, it's your right. No one can say anything. If you, I don't know, want to move somewhere, if you want to come and like change states, if you want to open business, close business, if you want to do nothing, not work, it's your choice. It's your decision because you're free. You belong to yourself. No one can come and say, "Hey, you can't do that." Why can't I? It's my life. It's my business. It's my decisions. The other side of the coin is that no one is responsible for people's lives. People are responsible for their own lives 100%. And I also loved it. Because in Russia, now let's go to Russia. In Russia, things are a little different. Russia has always been run by kings until today. They're called the czars. For a short period of time, which was fantastic time, from 1991 to 2011, the 20 years Russians enjoyed freedom. Russians did not have a king. Well, that time is over now. I remember that time. Fantastic. Hard, challenging, but fantastic. Like gulp of fresh air. Anyway, for past 400 years, some people say even longer than that, but I'm not a history buff, Russian history buff. I know only up to 400 years. There was a king. They were his vassals, in a circle. And at first, I don't even remember how they called the king and his men, something like that. And then they changed the system a little bit, and there was the king, the czar, and the nobles, and the dirt, chin. The nobles were the lucky ones. The rich, the noble the ones who could own people, slaves, and the everyone else was pretty much chern, the dirt. Among that was free people who, just specialists who were not rich, who were just trying to make ends meet, and they were slaves, the peasants that belonged to the nobles. Okay, that was how Russia was organized until 1861. And it seems like such a long time ago everything changed. But then, while in America, I asked myself a question. How many generations passed since there were slaves in Russia? Guess how many generations? 5. Ancestors, I think grandfather or grandmother of my grandfather was a slave. Uh, 5 generations ago. That's not long at all. The thing is, in Russia, up to this point, there is an understanding that you are not the center of the universe. You are a small, tiny speck in the government, in the land, in the country, and you don't decide much. It's not up to you to make decisions. No one asks you. There's always the czar and his people, the government. Now it's called the president and the government. They know better. They decide for you. They know what's better for the country. They know what's better for you. They have the rights. You have not many rights. You know, just live life, drink vodka, work, preferably on days off, enjoy your life. You know, have family. This is as far as you can go as a regular person in Russia. That's it. In order to achieve something, you must be in the government. You must be in this vertical of power that is called these days. And you know what? The worst part is that it's always been like that. Even in the USSR, the system was in principle the same, but it was called differently. It was called the communism, but in fact, it wasn't communism. It was the system at the vertical of power. There was the Tsar, there was his men, the council, there was the government, and there was people, rightless people, cheating, pretty much it. So, uh, I hope that you understand where I'm getting at. I'm comparing two systems. Unfortunately, in Russia, the freedom that we gained in 1991, it didn't last long. Fantastic 90s were absolutely free. Uh, I would say even chaotic, okay, because there was no authority whatsoever. They were very tough. They were very challenging. They were fun though, and they were liberating. They were like gulp of fresh air. In the 2000s, we started riding the wave of high oil prices, and life was good. Oh boy, life was rich, was good. Russians were enjoying life like they had never done before. For 10 years, it was like a present from God for us. For 10 years, we were rich. We could afford anything. We could afford cars, real estate, foreign vacations, traveling all over the world. We could afford internet, TV, just you name it. Life was good. And then everything changed. Some people in power, they thought, well, enough is enough. And they basically started changing Russia to the old ways. And we are back to the old ways. And the the quintessence of the old days is this fella calling me a couple days ago and saying, oh, you left Russia? You can't do that. And he was sincere. The scariest part was he was sincere. He really thinks so. Why can't I do that? Because you basically belong to the motherland. I said, well, what if I want to work in another country? What if I want to not be able to go to get mobilized and kill Ukrainians? What if I disagree with the war? What if I this? What if I that? What if I've decided for myself? And it doesn't matter. What I like for my life, what I plan for my life and execute for it doesn't matter. Because I, at the end, belong to my motherland. Hearing from politicians, and I've heard it quite a few times. I'm making a video, a separate video on how politicians want to bring us back. If they can't, they want to punish us by seizing everything that we have, all the assets, all real estate, cars, bank accounts, And if after they do that, they want to kill us, okay? And they've publicly stated that because this is their revenge. They can't forgive us leaving Russia because by leaving, this is the act of saying, I am free. I decide what I do for my life. I don't care what you want from me. This is me. This is my life. And that is a sin for them. That something that they can't forgive because they lose us. Once we liberate ourselves by leaving the country, we're out of their control. That's it. They tried to reach out and they can't. They still can do something to that part of our lives that is left in Russia, but they can't do anything else. Of course, they can send their killers to kill us. Yes, they can. And they will be doing so, and they will kill some people, most likely. They've publicly stated that, the politicians. So hearing from politicians, oh, the traitors, oh, you can't leave, you need to come back, this and that, I understand. It's their politicians. This is who they are. You know, this is their nature. They must say that. Otherwise, they wouldn't be politicians. But hearing from a regular person, not a politician, who has no interests in politics much, who has no interest in me returning or living outside, he sincerely telling me that, oh, you can't do that. You can't leave because you belong to motherland. He just summed up what I had been fearing for. Um, it's not over. It's not over. I thought it was over in 1991. I thought New Russia was born. I thought Russia was changed forever, and we had very nice, bright future among us. That lasted for 20 years. That was it. Until 2011. The beginning of the end were the protests, legal protests at Bolotnaya Square. And after that, the government started changing situation in Russia, and I think that has changed it completely. So we are back to where we were at the USSR, even worse, because things are. I'm not gonna talk about it now, perhaps on a different stream, but the USSR was better. There was more freedom. There was more space to maneuver. We say that. Right now in Russia, its situation is pretty dire for people. Before I felt like I was losing my motherland, and now I feel it. I feel like I've completely lost it. Pretty sad. And quite honestly, folks, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do about that. I have pledged myself to help spread messages of truth. Well, that's what I'm doing right now, sharing my opinions about Russia. And then on top of that, I bridge Ukrainians and Russians. I try to fix what has been broken between the two countries culturally. Perhaps I'm doing it a very naive and very clumsy way, but I don't know any other way. And to me, it's one family at a time, one person at a time. And that's what I'm doing. But what's left behind, where my motherland is Russia, um, I am feeling absolutely helpless. And I don't know what to do about that situation whatsoever. Because if I can change something here, and I have feeling, and at least I'm trying to change things here in Uzbekistan, I don't know what to do, how to change that huge gargantuan monster that has turned back into a USSR version 2.0, new, digital, and much, much worse one. So, plain and simple, we do belong to our mothership in Russia these days. The ones who left, they certainly have no rights, and they will do as the motherland will tell them to do. But who is the motherland? Is this, families? Is this the friends, relatives, perhaps city councils, or I don't know. Well, the motherland seems to be Vladimir Putin and his government. Russians will do as they say. If they don't, it's going to be or else. Thank you so much. This has been my message for today. Before I turn on the comments, where I would like to ask you to share your opinions. This stream is not about numbers, figures, facts, situations. It's very kind of philosophical. I've shared how I really truly feel inside. So please let me know. Your words of support would be very welcome too. Before I turn on the comments, first of all, I'd like to thank you. And then second, please help spread me my message by making repost on your social media accounts. Please sign for my Telegram channel. It's Inside Konstantin's Russia. The link will be in the description below the stream once it ends. And also, please sign up for my Telegram main surfer. I haven't asked anyone to do that for a long time, but you know, I like Instagram too. I just sometimes take pictures and share it. So thank you so much. Turning on the comments, and I would like while I'm doing that, I would like to tell you that I've launched a new format, new kinds of videos. Not live streams, but I want to do every other day. I want to do a video. Talk a little more about them, plain and simple. And that's what I did today. Meanwhile, in Russia, this is how I call my series. So go and check that. Go and check Meanwhile in Russia, please. I hope you find it interesting. So the comments are on. Thank you so very much. If you are not seeing them, please refresh your page and you will see them the way I'm seeing them right now. Thank you so much. Mommy and Lorna, you're number one, of course. Actually, YouTube, I'm so thankful for YouTube for adding this new feature. When I start seeing hearts and all kinds of emojis flying, it actually does mean a lot to me. Because the reason I do the live streams is I want to spread my message, but also I want to get feedback from you. When I read the comments, when I read that people support me and like me, and it's just like they think the same way I do, that's motivational. That's it just gives me power, energy to move on. So, and the hearts are just fantastic. Thank you so very much. Lorna, Mommy, Black Cat, and Bob S, Harry Potter, Amir. Welcome. Thank you so much, my friends, for coming. I missed 2 streams before. They were reasons. I didn't miss it for nothing. 2 days ago, I was participating in a round table with other YouTubers. We were speaking of Russia and situation in Russia. An Italian guy, Neil Lake Garda, is doing that. Well, I should give you a link in the description somewhere, but there's pretty cool round table. I enjoyed it, but unfortunately it happened at the same time as my stream. And yesterday I had some very personal things to take care of. Tune in to tomorrow's live stream, private live stream, and I will tell you the details of what happened this morning, and last night. So thank you. I hope to see you there. I'm not going to be alone to do tomorrow's stream. Thank you so much. I see quite a few people, almost 3,000. Let me just jump into the messages. If you want me to see your message easier, please put it in caps and Inside Russia after @ so it appears highlighted for me. Thank you. Tupalusto says hello from Finland. Thank you so much. We have the USA, Canada, Germany, the UK, Norway in the house. Great to see everyone. The usual suspects. Thank you for coming. Briefly buffered. Probably because internet in Uzbekistan was far from perfect. Now, thank you so much for first super chat from Lena Axelson. No message, but this message is powerful enough. Thank you so much. Hang on 1 second. Love this chair. I just can go back and forth. Lena, thank you. And Isinox, thank you so much. I forgive you. Romanians here don't want to explain what gives me right to forgive you. I've treated you quite harshly, but now I can trust you. Wow. Out of all messages, this is very, very. I don't even know how to say that. Uh, anyway, I really like reading this. Thank you so much. Out of all things that I need as a Russian person is forgiveness. This is how I feel. That's the most important thing for me. Because I feel guilty. Um, I don't lie and I don't do anything on the channel that I'm feeling guilty. I'm actually proud of everything. I haven't lied. I've made mistakes. Every time when I realize I make mistake, I go out there and I admit it. But I think I myself and plenty of like all Russians are guilty enough, and you know what we're guilty of. And thank you so very much for forgiving. It's just means more than you think. Thank you. Michael Mayo, what's the relationship between the vertical power and Russians called nomenclatura? Thank you. Great question. Well, a little strange, Michael. Vertical of power is a very current term in a very current situation. It's not even a thing. It's the state of Russian governance, I should say. Nomenclatura was in the USSR. They don't call nomenclatura anymore. Okay. The USSR had the same vertical of power. There were a few people at the helm on top. They made decisions. They had absolute power. And they had their minions. Minions, people going down, executing their decisions. And the ones who executed, they got paid for it with better salaries, with a little bit of their own power, with unlimited food and things like that were valuable in the USSR. And that was nomenclatura, plain and simple. Those who support decisions of the top, those who execute the decisions, who are the foundation of this system, corrupt freaking vertical system. That is nomenclatura. Nomenclatura does exist right now. It's called differently. It's called United Russia Party. It's called the administrations, local administrations, province administrations. But that's the same as old nomenclatura. They do not enjoy as much power and as much bonuses as nomenclatura that did in the USSR, but they enjoyed some. So, answering your question, thank you so much, Michael. Alex J, what is the name in if the Italian guy roundtable channel? It's called Mazarin Political Club or something like that. Let me check. I'll give you a link now. Just give me a second. Mazarin Speakers Club. And I participated in the roundtable episode number 2. Hang on. I think this is it. No, that's a link to participate. Try this one. Mods, please let me know if it works or not. Real RJ Smith, come back to America. I could sponsor you and your family if you want to live in Clearwater, Florida. I would love to live in Clearwater, Florida, to be honest with you. My first choice would be Central Florida. Is my wife allergic to cold and snow? Um, Thank you. It's not that easy, you know. If I needed a sponsor, I could have. I probably would have been in America already, but it's a little more complicated than that. But if you're for real, just drop me a line in the email. See what, let's talk. Blackad, thank you so much. Thank you. Julie W has just gifted sponsorship to a few people. Well, let me tell you, folks. Next stream tomorrow will be at the usual time, noon Eastern Standard Time. There will be guests you don't want to miss. I don't want to spoil, let it be a surprise, but there's people who are very dear to me, and you will enjoy conversing with them, I guarantee you. So, sponsors, please come back tomorrow at noon Eastern Standard Time. It's going to be one of a kind streams. Kiss Frog, why would anybody live under Putin, let alone any dictator? Are you planning on going back to Russia when the war is over? Two questions. Why would anybody live under Putin or any other dictator? Because they don't know any other way. I don't want to live under Putin or dictator because I know I've been around the world. I lived in the USA for almost 10 years. I know how things can be different and I know how the governments can the countries can be governed differently, and I love it. But people who were born and raised in Russia, they indoctrinated. They don't know other ways. Okay, that's the first question. Am I planning on going back to Russia when the war is over? No. John Gonzalez, thank you so much, John. No message, but this is pretty strong message. Jeffrey Cornish, I don't blame the people in Russia. I don't blame you. I blame those at the top. I have so much respect for you being able to speak out and inform us what you know. Thank you, God. Vashon Island, Washington, thank you so much for your message. Monetary support is very appreciated, much needed these days, but it's not as important as the prayers and words like this. They're absolutely priceless. Thank you so very much. Так, I think I missed a few super chats while I was talking. Let me just quickly go and look them up. Not seeing much. Folks, I see that I missed a few super chats. Please. Alex, €5, thank you so much. I see that. I appreciate your support. Alex, thank you twice. Deuce Ira, keep on keeping on. Thank you so much. That's the usual message for you, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. X Flying Tiger, John and Nikki in the house from Lake Shasta. I remember. Jeffrey S. Still don't have my red star like Mr. Harry. Jeffrey, keep on staying with us. You will get all kinds of stars. Besides, why do you need a star? I think you're like a star of this community. Without any stars, Lorraine Prasnowski, thank you so much. That's the red star. Jones Rames, do you see one of the developers of Sputnik 5 was found strangled? Wondering why? I did not see. I've been so busy I didn't really look up. I don't know if any one of you watched this film that I made. I took 5 news that I found interesting and important, and I talked about them on video a little bit. That video took me 8 hours to produce and release from A to Z, 8 hours. So between some personal things and that video, I haven't done news much. The only news I followed were yesterday. This attempt of Ukrainians to invade Russia, as they were presenting and is still presenting in the Russian media, attempt to invade Russia and blah blah blah. I did not watch that, but turned out to be a fake, a false flag operation, and it was done so stupidly that people who were organizing they dropped the agenda because they understand they cannot sell this. Okay. If one of the developers of Sputnik 5 was found strangled, that would not surprise me one single bit. You gotta know what you're doing, okay? Because if you do some atrocious things, that there are risks, and sometimes risks materialize. Plain and simple. Carlson Larrymore, did you see the meeting in India where Russian PM was laughed at when he said Russia was attacked and they are defending? Is this respect that Putin was looking for? I briefly heard the news. I saw that when the Russian delegation started speaking in I think it was the Union of Europe or something like that, this organization, that everyone just stood up and left. How can you blame these people, I don't think that Putin was looking for it. I think that he made a huge mistake and he realizes that. Plain and simple. Huge mistake. And he cannot admit it because he would be admitting that he did, he's done. When you admit this mistake, you step down, and guess what's gonna happen to you? That's the best case scenario. Because his stakes are very, very high in this game. And he knows exactly what the stakes are, and he knows what he's doing. Amir, great to see you, and thank you for the gift of sponsorship. Tomorrow is going to be an awesome stream. Please come. Please come tomorrow. You will not be disappointed. Christian Zernsak, thank you so much for your support. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Branislav Zelina, hi from Banska Bystrica. Unbelievable. Banska Bystrica. This is where my father was stationed, 1969, in Banska Bystrica. I know this name quite well. He was telling me when I was growing up, I was asking him about the army, and he was telling me this name over and over again. Thank you for opening eyes of people who want to listen. Too many people in Slovakia want to return to old ways, unfortunately. Branislav, I don't know what to tell you. Let's pray that we will not return. Well, you will not return to the old ways. We in Russia have returned, and it's not a nice place to be. But let me tell you a story of my father, in case you don't know it. He was called up in 1969 after the invasion of Czechoslovakia, and he was in the army. He was a technician. He was in charge of oxygen systems of MiG-21 planes, and he was sent for 18 months to serve in Banska Bystrica. It was an air base. This is where he started asking questions about Soviet state, and he started asking questions about how unfair it was, because Russian soldiers were not allowed to leave the base, and he did AWOL twice, a few times perhaps. And he said that he was looking at the locals who were absolutely great people, and they saw Russian soldiers. They really appreciated Russian soldiers in terms of they remembered how they were liberating from the Nazis, like 20 years prior. And they were just looking at the soldiers in a very, like, they didn't like the Russians to be there, but they didn't mind like regular people, like face to face. And my father, for the rest of his life, he felt very guilty for serving in Czechoslovakia, being part of this, how do you call it? Not invasion, but this occupying force. And he felt guilty. He felt so guilty. So in 2000, year 2000, he got up with my mom and they moved to Prague. And they lived in Prague for 10 years. And he was a minister and he was helping out people of Czechia. He built a church. He stayed. He took care of the church, and he was a preacher in that church for 10 years. That was his way of giving back to people of, well, Czechia. I guess not Slovakia, but Czechia. But like to us, there was one country, Czechoslovakia. Well, way in the past, that was his way of giving back. He wanted to do something, and then he did. So I have utmost respect for my dad. And the name of your town, Banska Bystrica, rings a bell. White lightning. It's horrible how central government suppress local people and traditions in the USA. Persecution exists to this. I'm sure in Russia, smaller ethnic groups are targeted. Just look at a map. Thank you so much. It's not a question, it's a statement. I agree with you. There's not much to argue about. JG, thank you so much for your support. I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thinking again about one of the developers of Sputnik 5, I don't really feel that sympathetic or bad about the guy. Dave Trains just shared a gift of membership to one person, with one person. Thank you so much, Dave. Michael Barnett, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's incredible. From Banska Bystrica, Branislav, so good to have you. I wish my dad was alive, I would invite him to the stream so he would talk about his experience in Banska Bystrica. Tunushi, was the USSR system of internal travel restriction an echo of serfdom? Yes, it was. Serfdom is different from slavery. That's your part of the real estate. Well, how is this different from slavery? If you're part of real estate, if you can be sold or bought, if your children are taken away from you, if whatever the master, the noble says, you marry the person, how is this not slavery? Please explain me. Perhaps I don't understand something. Well, that's Russian serfdom for you. Damien Da Silva, howdy. Do regular Russians believe that was an attack? I will tell you more about in tomorrow's stream, but in general, no. They executed this false flag thing so poorly that even Russians who can be led to believe anything these days, they don't believe them. So that's answering your question, So there's a question from Jekyll that I missed. EP Berlin. Hi Constantine, watched last 1420 video. Question was if Russia should denazify Poland next, and most agreed. I hope not. I hope Daniel takes people who are crazy only, because if most Russians think that they should denazify Poland, they should be denazified themselves first, What makes people, especially women, so war hungry? I don't know. I wish I could answer that, Z people brainwashed so much. I tell you what, Russian government, one day, Putin and his friends, they're gonna regret so much for brainwashing these people because they're gonna turn against Putin. They're gonna be so angry, and oh boy, you watch out for those people. Jake Allen, sometimes when we are in distress, we see no positive future. Just remember, Putin is not young, and the next leaders can only be better. I'm not religious, but I believe the Almighty already seen the outcome. Thank you, Jekyll. Hang on. Friend, you send me lots of support, and most of it comes without words, without messages. But sometimes you give questions or messages, and let me tell you, they are good ones. Thank you. I will remember your words. Thank you. Um, Damien De Silva, many Russians believe Ukrainians are their brothers, but Holodomor was 32-33. In what period were they treated like brothers? Um, they were brothers and sisters. Well, I remember going to Ukraine, and which was in the USSR right next to us, and it's the same place. If you go from southern Maine to northern Maine, like that's kind of same thing. And that's how Ukraine was to Russia for a long time. As for Holodomor, from what I understand, it was not Ukraine was not targeted. Yes, of course there was Holodomor in Ukraine, but so was in Russia, and equal amount of Russians died. Povolzhye, lots of people died there of basically starving to death. Have you ever read the book Tashkent Город Хлебный? If you haven't, you should. It just explains, it describes Holodomor from a point of view of a Russian kid who went to Tashkent to make some money and buy some food for his dying family. So Holodomor existed. Were Ukrainians targeted? I think it's more of a Soviet people were targeted. Stalin and his buddies, they had an evil plan and they executed not just on Ukrainians but on other regions, other nations as well. John L., do you think a lot of people who romanticize and miss the USSR were the same ones benefiting from the top heavy concentration of power? No, no. The ones who romanticize on the quite on the contrary. The ones who are on the top, they know the country well. They don't want it back. They understand they're not gonna be on top anymore. They know that it's gonna be terrible. The ones who romanticize want it back, the ones who are in the bottom. Because what happened when Russia was a new country, they got lost. They couldn't make it. Things were changing, but the people were not ready for the change because no one had been teaching them how to change. Their lives had been stable and they didn't change anything about them. That's actually a topic for a good topic for a stream. They're the ones who got hit hardest in the 90s, in the 2000s. I was young. You know what I did very first time when I was allowed? I went to a local tobacco factory. There was tons of crates with cigarettes. But the tobacco factory knew how to produce. It did not even have a sales department. It didn't know how to sell. So people were coming in and buying off the factory. And I bought a couple cartons and I went to a local, like across the city to where I lived, in a local farmer's market. And I started selling cigarettes. And the mafia showed up and we started paying off mafia. We had to make a deal with mafia. I was the one who was dealing with these boys, in the black. But I started selling cigarettes. I brought money home that night. And I kept on doing it for some time. My dad could not do that because he was not young. He had been used to different things. He couldn't just get over himself and do that. He had been conditioned not to do that all his life. And people who are in the 50s and 60s and 70s who remember that their life was somewhat stable and somewhat, they had job, they could afford food, they could, a little bit at least. What followed was devastating for them. They want that back. They want that stability back. The stability and like a decent level of living, even the low ones, but stable. That's what they want. That's who romanticized this freaking thing. Jeffrey S. Mr. K, who's going to join you Saturday? Well, I guess it's for me to know, for you to find out. Do you think I might be anyone I like or... Well, that's probably not who you think, but I think you also like, so... Is Michael staying busy? Is he happy? Michael staying busy. He's happy. Yeah. So, look, I understand you're anxious, but please come back tomorrow. Brian Woods. Actually, not only tomorrow. There will be many surprises over the next couple of weeks. Brian Woods, thank you so much. I appreciate your support. And Tonushi, to explain, a slave can be bought and sold by himself? How can you buy and sell yourself? A serf is a part of a plot of land he toils on. In Finnish, serfdom means land slavery. Well, in Russia, it used to be like this. A noble who he owned you, he could come and say, hey, I'm selling you and I'm sending you to Siberia. Or I'm sending you to the army. And if you have a family, if you have children, well, it doesn't matter. I'm selling your wife to this guy. Liked your wife. I'm selling kids to another wife. This is how it was in Russia. If it's not slavery, then what the heck is this? I didn't really answer many questions with non-super chats. It's been busy, like big questions. When I start answering one question for a long time, I miss quite a bit. Coming back to Damian Da Silva's question, look, again, many Russians believe Ukrainians are their brothers. When I go to a breakfast club and I see a couple of Ukrainian families, guess what? We also think that we're brothers. Right now, in 2023, in 2022, war is going on, but our feelings toward each other are very good. So I hope it helps. Amir, thank you so much. War hungry equals profit driven. I can't argue with that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And folks, I'm trying to make um, I want to finish up the stream with a prayer. My plans, I will continue doing daily streams, and I will try every other day to come up with, meanwhile in Russia, news updates. I found it fun to make, and that's very important videos for a long time. Um, so please keep on tuning in. Hopefully, the next one will come on Sunday. Thank you so much for giving me a chance today. I would like to invite everyone to join me in prayer. Looks like it's buffering again. Sorry about that. Internet hasn't been stable lately. Anyway, let's do it. Dear Lord Jesus Christ, thank you so much for giving us this day. Thank you for food that you put on our tables. and for the roofs that you put over our heads. Please keep our children safe and healthy. Give us wisdom to keep the skies above their heads peaceful and raise them right men and women. And when they grow up, they will make this world a better place. Thank you for surrounding us with people who we love and who love us. Dear God, please help stop the bloodshed in Ukraine. Please reach out and touch people who you need to touch. Please do things that you know you need to do better than us and we do. Um, do them so people who are responsible and capable of making the decision to stop the bloodshed will do so. And this war will end, and the bloodshed will end. We're looking forward to this day. We pray every single day for it to stop as soon as possible. Please help everyone in Ukraine. The ones who have been affected, show them mercy, give them some love, send them love, fill their hearts with warmth, have them recover, have them soothe their souls, please, and answer their prayers and make their wishes come true. Please send angels to everyone in Ukraine so they keep people out of harm's way and not one single drop of blood is shed anymore. Help my country, Russia, keep it peaceful. Send the army of your strongest angels with sharpest swords, led by Saint Michael, to get rid of the demons who have hijacked my country. Send them where they belong, straight to hell. Have angels run my country. Make it peaceful, make it respected, make it loving, make it right. Please send safe travels to everyone who is traveling, who's stuck in the storm, in the snow, and in a dire situation and needs your help. Please send help. Help those who are seeking asylum in other countries other than their own. Please send good people and help their way. Please help the hungry, the homeless, the jobless, uh, the sick, the ones who are struggling with their faith, the ones who are depressed, who the ones who are lost. Please reach out to every person in a position like that and shine your light upon him or her. Because life is a gift, and you have given us this life, so we are all happy. So please bring happiness back into their lives. Please keep our skies peaceful. Give us enough wisdom so we keep the skies above ourselves and above our kids peaceful. Help the victims of the earthquake in Turkey. Provide help to those who need help that survived this terrible tragedy. Please help everyone in Ukraine who is without water, electricity, heat. Please send help their way. Send love their way. And show put your light upon them. I would like to ask for all women who are pregnant and making a decision whether to keep their babies or not right now, reach out and talk to them so they make the right choice. Dear God, I would like to thank you for giving us this opportunity to come together and form this wonderful community. Thank you for all these wonderful people who are watching and praying right now. Please help us, help the ones who are praying and or just watching us pray. please answer everyone's prayer and make everyone's wish come true. I would like to ask you for a few people who need your help. They are Wayne, who's fighting for his life, 2 cancers, 2 kinds of cancer. Shirley and Debbie, Jen Allen, Fiona, Lars Henrik, and Lars Henrik's mother, the Highwayman, Amanda Rydnor, and her roommate, Essie from the Scottish Isles, Outlander and family, David Porter and his wife and his daughter, and all people who are in Chernovtsi, Ukraine, Choris and family. Enjoy every minute. Please send strength. Lars, Susan Marshall, Beulah, Boss Salmon, Lazarus, Alvin, Alvin's sister, Teresa D, Marsha Tucker, please send strength. Garcia, Castellanos, Terry Carter, Joe McMahon, Meta Spencer, Deanna and family, Bree's friend, Caroline, Life, Joel, Terry, Karen Visser, Albina Fell, Pamela J, Michael Yukon, Elena, Natasha, Jake, Michael, Oля, Dasha, Sky, Bonnie, Galina, Igor, Karen from Maine, Janine, Michael Milkevitz, Marlene, Paul Bins, Richard, Mallory M, Dirk Misler, James Rhodes, Terry, Hannah and her children, Richard Burris, Angelica Life, and Scan Family's grandson, Grace, Barb, Randolph, Nelly Arkady and Yuri in Mikolaev, Harry's family, Verlinda's niece, Ian James, Doug, Rafaela from Anna, Priscilla, Michelin, King Nero, Gibby Hyman, Donald, Deborah, Lisa's son, Jade, Kaltenberg, Allison Dave Moyers, Nikki and John from Lake Shasta, Maureen M, Mr. Hanson, Heidi, Bob, Tony, Kayleen, Rob, Umel, Jennifer, Matt, Ashley family, Mr. Dean Spooner, and his church called Our Savior Lutheran Church, Lisa Kumrian, Jacob, Adam Oliver, Amy, Treasure, Kyle's wife, Maggie, Carmen's sister, Vladislav and his father Sergey from Ukraine, Kharkov, Susie Myler, Gina and Wayfarer, EMS paramedic Liz, Karen from Maine, Lori Miles' husband, Sherry, Layla, Philip's mother, Maria Kolesnikova, Thomas Fall, and his mother. Also, I'd like to ask for a few special children. They are Cadence, Maverick, Sebastian, Coulter, Theo, Madi, Ansley, and Karin Vasernis. Please send recovery, show you love, show you miracles, and give strength to the families. Asking for all children from Ukraine who have been misplaced, stolen, have been affected by this whole tragedy. Please help them and their families, and please help Russian children who have been affected as well. Dear Lord, thank you so very much. Jesus Christ, please stay with us and continue showing us the light. Thank you. Amen. My friends, thank you so much for coming. Another message. I missed you yesterday and the day before yesterday. It really feels very strange when I miss the stream. Thank you so very much. I will see you tomorrow. Sponsors and patrons, I hope you come because it's going to be a very special stream to me. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you're awesome. You rock. And before I go, I want everyone to say out loud with me, Carthago delende est.